your cosmic mama.
I got to laugh here because I think before we even got on here, I was thinking to myself how tired I am, but all my pain is self-inflicted.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, all my pain is self-inflicted. When you're like a self-motivated brain and your brain just keeps going, like you cause all your own drama because you're like, I make up all these deadlines for myself. Like won't even let myself go to sleep. Sometimes I don't let myself eat until I'm like, well, wait, after I do this, then I can do this. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really crazy. But we're on here because tomorrow I put myself in another seminar to learn. I need to learn some things for myself because I have some things going on here with me and my son, who, like I said, I said my house looks amazing, but it's not because it looks good, because I'm ripping things apart. And my son is coming out of his room, and we were out in the yard at 6, 7 in the morning with the cats, and it was like a little cat circus in the backyard. And man, it was so freaking cool because I was just seeing how he's really coming out of his room more and really being really vocal. Like I can see the energy moving with the feng shui. And even he's excited about his new bed, getting rid of his bunk bed. Patricia said his astral body can rise up when, Like,
are you changing the color in his room? Or are you painting his room?
We hadn't got to anything about color. The color is pretty vivid. It's a very nice color of blue. And he chose to have a white bed.
Oh.
Now it's like no oak, no cherry oak, no black. Yeah. So I said, oh, he's rising up in that
right.
In that white light, and have that white light shining through or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
How I'm gonna move this furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's the agenda for tomorrow afternoon, is get the new bed in.
Tomorrow afternoon. I got Mario and Alex unscripted.
Oh, nice.
We're doing that tomorrow. So that'll be literally this evening for everyone else. Mm-hmm. It's unscripted liberation codes. And they took my picture from my photo shoot with the big dress. And I was like, oh my God, look at you. Looking at me. So like, thank you. That was so freaking cool. So I'm going to hang out with Mario. And then I have a class in the evening and the class in the morning. And tomorrow is like 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. that class. I don't have to be in there that all that time, but they're giving a lot of information. And so it was making me think. There's been some things on my mind, Terry.
What kind of things, Erika?
I'm going to throw it to you. All right.
Okay.
All right. I like when we're silly like that. Anyway, so I was even thinking about this. So I don't know why I was thinking about with healthcare or whatever, but I'm going to throw this out here. Have you ever heard this saying, game is to be sold and not told?
No, I haven't heard that.
So what does that bring to your mind when you think game is to be sold and not told?
Well, I would say that it's like keeping it to yourself and not telling what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it is that, right? But then what happens is we give people free things all the time and it's never truly appreciated. Or we give information to people that we think they can use, but they really don't want it, so they don't use it. And yeah, it is, if you buy a book, you might care about what's in it. And if you pay for a class, I notice I've done things for people and I'm like, well, I'll pay for it. And when you pay for it, it almost is like the person will despise you in a way, but they won't receive it. They won't value it as much because they didn't do it themselves.
Right.
And sometimes I know too, especially moms, because I don't know if my mom gonna watch, but anyway, like sometimes my sister will say my mom gives her things that she doesn't want. She gives me things she thinks I should have, not the things that I want. So that's kind of how that
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff kind of works together. But I was even thinking about that with your healthcare. Like a lot of times when you go to your doctor's appointments and stuff too, they're only going to tell you the bare minimum and they're going to let you walk out the door if you want to really know things. And so unfortunately, people don't really understand about the healthcare system. It's not really for you unless you want to go to a specialist and dig deep and do research yourself and then challenge the person. They're not going to give you anything extra. They're going to give you dollar store advice.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Yeah.
that was kind of
They're not going to give you a cure. They're not going to give you prevention. They're going to give you something to manage your symptoms.
management.
Management. And
Pain
so
management.
that's when it comes to our health, we have to take control of it. Like,
Take control.
an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but we want to cure it. Rather, if we can't prevent it, then we want to cure it. We don't want to just manage it. And what I find is it's amazing how much information is available to us now. And there's some great, great people out there who share their wealth of information. And I'm thinking about Dr. Eric Berg. I'm thinking about Dr. O'Neill, Barbara O'Neill. Like, whether you follow them or not, they have basic information about our health, and how our bodies work, and how the different body clocks we have, and how important.
Whoa. I was just working on the body clock the last couple of days. Yeah, about the hormones, what hormones kick in when, what kind of herbs you can 6 a.m. drinking lemon water to get your things. Yeah. That was a part of my little research about menopause too, because I was like, oh, my throat. I woke up and from here to here is sweating. And most people are going to say menopause. But I was really doing some research on menopause because I think that's just one. It's like saying junk DNA in a way. It's like this way where people just junk everything together and classify it like how women really, ladies, like you really got to pay attention to these things for yourself because you think, oh, it's just menopause, but you don't have to have menopause. Like a part of it was just talking about what time I go to bed at night, like too late. And then my mind is ramped up and I'm going to bed ramped up and my brain is still working. I'm still working while I'm sleeping. And so I'm sweating. And I could just think of other people, whether they're worried about spousal problems, worried about children, worried about finances. And so in your sleep, like your thermogenic system is just going woo, 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 because you're not going to bed on time. You're eating a heavy meal. You're thinking all hard, like all these factors. But if you want information on that, I printed up a document about it and I posted it in the singles group. But that was another one of those things, right? Where, yeah, it is it's being sold and not told. It's not being told to people. So anyway,
I'm
ready for the next one, Terry.
Get ready for the next one. Okay.
For the next, a watch pot never boils. I know you heard that one.
Oh gosh, I use that terminology all the time. It's like,
so why are you using that, Terry?
Why am I using it?
Why are you doing it?
Because sometimes we start something and or we're creating something and then we're waiting for it to how come it's not materializing. We plant a seed and it's not materializing fast enough, or like you say, the watch pot, because if I'm waiting for a pot to boil, it's not boiling. As soon as I walk away, it's boring. Or it's going to run over, right? That happens so often is because we're focused on it. We're not allowing it that space to develop, to create, because now we're putting all our energy on what we think we want to happen with it.
That goes right with another one. You're putting all your eggs in one basket. And that is, Terry, I went through something where I created a class and then I was like, voila. And I really felt like the creator was like, you know what? You got more stuff to do. And if I let you blow up and get busy doing this, you're not going to go do the other things that you're supposed to do, right? So it allowed me to move on into another space and keep on going. So when that pot is boiling, also during that time, we begin to have some thoughts and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
We get a little doubtful. We get a little worried, get a little anxious. We start to trip. But the pot is about to boil. It's so funny. It's coming. Yeah. But if you sit there worrying, waiting, and watching, it's going to feel like forever.
Yeah.
It's going to feel like forever.
And then you walk away and it boils over and it's like, what?
You ever seen somebody let eggs boil too long?
I've done that a few times. And I end up with little purple hard eggs that are like rubber balls.
I got one better than little purple balls. Because my dad was a classic. My mom hated him in the kitchen, but he was a classic at blowing up the kitchen, doing something crazy. And he would want to make things like hog mogs. And then one time he did this thing with the eggs, and he was this what makes him the classic is he always falls asleep. So one time we wake up and the house is full of smoke, and I mean it's like 4 foot of smoke down, and you gotta like leave the house. But this one time he did it with the eggs, and those eggs exploded, and it sounded like gunshots. It was like poof, 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 and these eggs had flown out and just smashed into the walls. Yeah, my mom used to have a good time.
Do you want to hear a really gross? I will tell you this. A friend of mine was telling me the experience that they had. They went to a hunting cabin and they had an old propane stove. And there was one guy who stayed back and said, well, I'll cook supper. So they were cooking, I think they had ribs. They had deer ribs or something like that. Ooh. And they all came back from hunting and there was this horrid smell. And this is gross and it's very sad, I'm going to tell you. But what had happened was the guy wasn't playing with the full deck. Anyway, when it started to smell, you would have thought he would have taken a look. But this is sad. I'm sorry if I'm grossing anybody out. But there was a mouse that had built a nest between the inside of the oven wall and the outside of the oven wall. There's that space. Oh, yeah. And he said they couldn't eat anything. They had to clear the cabin out. It was
the smell?
The smell.
Ew. Yeah, I don't like to find dead things.
No, well, not only that, these were not roasted very well either. But sometimes you're not paying attention to what you're doing and or what's happening. And it's like, we get warnings, but people don't pay attention to the warnings. And then they go like, oh, what happened? But you had a warning sign when something was going wrong. You just didn't listen to it.
So the next one is you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I think that's how you say it. Let me see. Yeah. Oh yeah, stay ready and you don't have to get ready. I love when I hear people say that. What you think, Terry?
Oh, what do I think? I've heard that one before. It's not one that I've used a lot, but so you're anticipating, right? You're always ready to go into action. It's not like you're not reacting to things. You're you're mindful. You're being in a mindful place.
Because he was like, get busy living or get busy dying. And so for me, when I think of that stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I feel like sometimes we get to being like, oh, the president's gonna do this, and so and so's gonna do that, and get to looking at what everyone else is doing and sitting around, and it's like, but what's your plan? What are you gonna do? What's, instead of, you know, every other waiting on everything else to go on around you so that then you can get into action. It's like, go ahead and be in action. Go ahead and stay ready. And to me, ready doesn't mean just really sitting there. Ready means actively doing something about your situation so that, when someone comes along, if your house is half built and they're like, oh, well, you already started on the foundation. Here, let me give you some free bricks, since we already see, universe answers prayers like that. So if you're in motion, and I think that's all a part of that law too. It's a law. I can't think of it. It's like it's the law of motion, right? Things that in motion stay in motion.
Right.
So ready doesn't mean sitting and waiting. Ready means actively doing. Mm-hmm. Ready means, I got the eggs,
Yeah. Well, and part of that is that whole idea of entropy, like everything wants to go into entropy. In other words, everything wants to rest. And, you get people who want to be, well, I just want to relax. I just want to not do anything. We're getting into entropy. And what happens with entropy? It starts to decay. Things start to decay.
Right.
So for us, and we want the easy way out, but sometimes we need to put a little pedal to the metal and get moving.
That's right. Give it some gas.
Give it some get moving. And you know what? Even if it isn't necessarily relaxing, but do something in your relaxation. Like keep moving, keep exploring, keep your mind active, keep your body active, because and you've probably seen this too. People who retire with no plans, they end up getting sick or
they do. They lose
because they've worked and now I need to retire, and then they end up.
We could do this forever, because that even goes into a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Yes.
If you would like to see, because what you're saying is either create, or what's the other word? Is create, or is something else?
I was going to say demise, but it's not really demise. It's what's the word? I can't think of the word either. But I know
it's either. But it's like it's like either you create in something or it'll decay. And classic example of that would be like the Will Smith movie where the whole world's taken over, and not taken over, but everyone's gone, and he's like, it's not iRobot, it's the other one where he's by himself and he has the mannequin or whatever, and so he everything's grown over with moss and trees and things like that. If you're not in your house, it's funny how you can live in your house. The energy that you have living in the house prevents things from growing over it. It prevents it from breaking down. But if you move out of that same house over that same amount of time, that house, you will see things buckle, wobble, warp.
Yeah.
Create or dissipate.
Oh, dissipate. Okay. Yeah.
That was one of the ones. I got a million of them.
Mm-hmm.
They got a million of them out here. They're not mine, but I borrow them from time to time.
They're yours because you're using them.
Yeah. So stay ready, you guys. Keep busy doing what you fulfillment in your life and what has to do with your family, whatever. Okay. So I will skip this one. Oh, this is a funny one. You can't cast a play in hell and have angels for actors. That's a whole difference. I heard that one night on the TV show and I could never find it again. What you think, Terry? How you feel about that one?
I never heard that one before.
Really?
Yeah, you can't
Think
cast
about
a
that.
play in hell and have angels for actors. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So you know what? I guess you do expect, like you're not going to. There's other terms as well that you can use. Is like, yeah, like what energy are you creating something from? If it's being
That's
created,
what I
if it's
thought
being
about
created
too.
from a low frequency, from a low energy, you're not going to be able to create something angelic from that energy. You have to come from a different place. You have to move out of the basement to create
You
something.
yourself, because you could actually think of it with others, but you can totally pull that back to your own self and your own actions and your own thoughts and your own feelings. So here you are making the soup, but it's all the vegetables are rotten. So you're gonna make a nasty soup.
Yeah.
If all your actions are self-guided and selfish or in some way inhumane, don't expect it to be, some type of miracle at the end where everything just works out, because you're starting
You're not starting with a good from a good place.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not starting from that with angels. You're
Yeah.
starting with the other team. So I thought that was so cool, because easily you could say too, like you could say that even with your friend group, like you think if sometimes I see some people and I wonder, I can say, how can you stay friends with this group of people or a person and kind of like ignore all their bad actions? Like I know
Yeah.
you can feel sorry for people or whatever, and you wish them well. You don't wish them hell, but at some point when you associate, that's like laying down with dogs and waking up with fleas. See, we got a million of them. There's a reason they say this stuff. This is nothing to be blown off, nothing to take lightly, but that you can't raise people's frequency, right? But then,
No.
but you can mentor people, but there's always this idea of balance in your life, like people who are your peers, people that you're mentoring, and then people who help mentor and lift you up. Because as a person, you can be pouring out into all these cups, and if you're always pouring out for everyone else, you're going to be depleted, and so you also need someone giving up to you. But then sometimes I watch and I'm like, how did you do it with that particular group, and think that and maybe you expect like these great results, but you can't really get it because the sauce is no good, y'all. The sauce is no good. So
Have you you know what? That's right. The sauce. Have you ever made something? I'll use a good example is coffee cream. You made a pot of coffee
ooh, a
and
nice
you poured yourself a nice, beautiful cup of coffee and you pour the cream in and the cream has gone bad.
ugh. Oh my God, you probably don't know about it, but there's what's that guy's name? Dave Chappelle. And he was imitating Rick James, and the lady flashed her boobs, and he said, "The milk's gone bad." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" He said, "The milk's gone bad." Oh my God, that thing was hilarious. But you
Yeah.
took me there, so
Yeah.
you said
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
it was
Everybody get a laugh out of that one.
that, or they're going to be like, Erika really needs to stop, and they're going to be like, it's all or nothing. But
That's right.
I'm here for it.
Right.
Okay, this is one. Everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. You heard that one?
You know what? I have heard it. It's not one that I'm too familiar with, but I get it. Like you want the rewards without putting in the work.
Look at you. Then sometimes too, I think like you want this new life, because you have to let go of some of the old stuff.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're a Bible person, it's so funny to me how clear some of the things that are written about Jesus, how clear it is to me what it's saying versus what people think it's saying. And he said you have to die to your old self.
Mm-hmm.
So, some things you have to let go of. You have to
let go of it.
You want to be different, you got to do different. So you can't, it's the same thing too with that glass of ink and that analogy of you got a glass of ink, a glass of water, and if you put one drop of ink in it, is it still just water? Are you going to drink it? Or, we have to let go of some of the ink because the ink doesn't pass the test,
Doesn't pass the test.
Anyway, I had fun. You can keep talking about it, Terri. You can.
Yeah. Well, no, just I think going back to some of them is like, like with the peer group and stuff. Sometimes we have to remove ourselves from those situations in order for ourselves to do that healing work, because sometimes people just jump from one place to another, or nothing's changing, but sometimes you have to remove yourself and make that conscious change in your life. And that might mean that, you're going to have to be a recluse for a little bit, or start going to something different, just going away, just getting out of those habits, because it's the habits that we get into those grooves, and it's like time to get out of the groove. What are you wearing on your wrist?
A green rubber band. It's St. Patrick's Day, and you don't have on green.
I got green pants on.
I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Because I think I had on green when I went outside today.
Yeah, I did earlier.
Oh my God, I have on green shorts and don't even know it.
Oh yeah, I got green pants, or blue-green pants anyway.
You do?
Yeah.
That is so goofy. Then I had them on and I went and got this. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. So anyway, it's St. Patrick's Day. But now it's not going to be St. Patrick's Day. It's going to be the 18th. It's going to be my ex-husband's birthday.
That's the day after St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it's the day after. We'll be. I think. Yeah. It's weird. Mm-hmm. Did you hear what I said? It's like, oh yeah, it's my ex-husband's birthday.
Funny how you remember that.
Yeah, because it was a huge conversation about how St. Patrick's Day is the day that he celebrates.
Mm.
So he can, get smashed, y'all. So what is in the cards?
So what is in the cards? The wild rose fairy is love.
Wow.
Toadstool. And it's the sacred, the sacred forest. And it's green today.
It is very green.
It's very green. So, with what we're talking about, wild rose fairy, and it's about love. And I think we all need to, there's different kinds of love, but I think this is a kind of a love where we are being asked to express, like, through friendship, through our extended relationships, not a romantic love, just, with our family and friends, is how do we relate to them? And love is unconditional. Like, how do we, can we be with them and just accept them for who they are without having any expectations around that? Because when we do that, that's when we have shown growth, right? And growth. And then that brings us to the purity of heart. So when we can come to that place of love, of an unconditional love, or a love that's non-judgmental, whether it is for our sisters or brothers or parents or neighbors or friends, like we can still have a relationship with them, even though we may not agree with, or they may trigger us or whatever, but taking that step aside and allowing ourselves to have that growth, that frequency growth that allows us to start to come from a place of non-judgment. And that's really hard, because our society is one that we judge everything. Well, he said this and she said that, and that politician said this, and oh my gosh, look what they're doing. And so we're judging things, but come to a place where you can just sort of go into that center space and say, okay, let me move to a place where I can just express love to the situation, to the person, and not have any expectations of it, because a lot of times we have expectations. So allowing ourselves to grow, and then we're going to raise our frequency. That's where the purity comes in. We're moving into that higher frequency when we can ask ourselves that, can I accept that person and love them for just who they are? So that's
now
what I'm
determined. Now I got to look at these cards and then look at what we were saying.
Yeah.
Definitely, you can't cast a play in hell and get angels for actors.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die.
Well, and it's that whole
get ready.
The watch pot never boils, right?
Oh.
We're judging that pot. Where? How come you're not growing? But it will grow when it needs. The plants will, the rolling. Everything will grow in its time. But so stepping out and allowing the growth to happen and just accepting, so love, acceptance, non-judgment. We think of love as that romantic or the expectations that we have on other people for love. But can you be in a place of just unconditional love without judging something?
Right.
That's not easy. It's not, but it's our growth process as well, and their growth. But we take steps towards that, and that's how we raise our frequency. That's where we're getting to that purity. Like you take that one step, and it's not easy. You might fall down. So it's like 2 steps up, and sometimes you go back, but then you keep that momentum.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Because I'm getting to the point where I'm just having these chit chats. It's like if they go along, it's just they can go along or they don't. It's just things I find interesting. The things that go on in my brain throughout the day, and I'm just like, hey, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But that was fun. Ooh, Terri, you want me to do this astrology?
Yeah.
You know what? I had asked for a shorter version. Ooh. Okay, so a shorter version because I'm tired. Yeah, we were outside at 6, but I think we were up like way before that. And
oh wow, yeah, it's getting late for you.
Yeah, it is. And my son's already fell asleep in my room, so I'm gonna have to find some place to sleep. I'm gonna have to clear this couch off. So anyway, all right. Maybe I'll scoot him over. I don't know. The astrological forecast for this week, the 18th through the 24th. So today, Tuesday, because it's Monday, but it's Tuesday. Okay. Yeah. This week ushers in transformation energies with the arrival of the astrological new year, planetary retrogrades, and significant celestial assignments. Here's a concise overview. On the 19th. Wait a minute. It skipped? Okay. It says on the 19th, influence enhances intuition. enhanced intuition, creativity, and spiritual awareness. The advice is engage in artistic and meditative practices. Trust your inner guide. On the 20th, let me check the dates again. Okay. On
Yeah,
the
Wednesday the 19th.
Oh, because today's already Tuesday. Okay, so on the 20th, which is a cool day, it skipped. Oh, okay, I get it now. Significant marks the significance is that it marks the equinox and astrological start of the new year, the astrological new year, symbolizing renewal and new beginnings. Set your intentions for the year ahead. Embrace fresh starts and enthusiasm. This is interesting because there's so many. Oh, it's the equinox and the sun rises in Aries on the 20th. Oh, I didn't realize it was the equinox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on the 22nd, which is Saturday, Sun is conjunct in Venus, retrograde in Aries. The Sun is conjunct and Venus is retrograde in Aries. So this is going to prompts us to reevaluate our relationships and personal values. The advice is to reflect on your desires and dynamics in your relationships. Consider necessary adjustments. On the 24th, which is Monday of next week, Mercury Kazemi is in Aries. This offers clarity amidst Mercury retrograde phases, especially regarding communication and planning. Use this moment to gain insight into ongoing projects and revisit and refine plans. Overall, with Mercury and Venus in retrograde, it's a period of introspection, particularly concerning communication and relationships. The equinox and Aries season encourage embracing new beginnings and setting fresh goals. Neptune's influence heightens the sensitivity, trust your inner voice, and creative impulses. For Pisces and Aries, you're going to experience heightened intuition and a surge of new energy. For Libra and Taurus, you're encouraged to reassess relationships and personal values. And for Gemini and Virgo, navigate communication challenges due to Mercury retrograde. Enhance your week as an opportunity for growth, mindful reflection, and setting the stage for new adventures. Wow.
Mm.
Hmm. Hopefully that made sense. It skipped through the week and it just gave a shorter.
A shorter
Nice.
synapse.
I was long-winded last time, and I'm like, but anyway, does good for me.
Mm-hmm.
What
So,
did you think? What did you?
this week we got, we're going to have to just be aware that there's stuff going on astrologically. We've got the equinox coming up. It's a great time to do some spring cleaning. The cards tell us about growth.
Oh,
What are we going to plant? Like look at it this way. What are we planting? Because the new moon is we just had a full moon. The new moon is coming up, and so what is it? We have this little time here to look at what do we want to plant for ourselves? How do we want to grow? It's spring, so we're opening up to the spring energies, and so we can we have unlimited possibilities.
well,
We're only limited by our thought process. And then yes, we can say, well, yeah, but I haven't got this and I haven't got that. Do some creative thinking.
I think those quotes really go along with this too, because it says, it's an astrological new year. So set bold intentions for the next 12 months. Take small but decisive actions towards your goal.
Yeah.
Declutter, clear out old energy physically and emotionally. And when it was talking about reassessing relationships and self-worth, because Venus is in retrograde, old love interests and past patterns may resurface, but it's not literally necessary that the person will pop up, but it's like that shoulda, woulda, coulda, looking back and really thinking about the way you used to conduct yourself, the way you used to allow yourself to be treated, and maybe the way you used to treat others, and make some decisions on how you're going to move forward with that. Reflect on your values, your true desires, money, love, self-expression, and figure out what really is most important to you. And if a conflict does arrive, pause and before reacting, and allow yourself some time for emotional clarity. That's definitely something that I've been learning. I've been learning not to speak so much when it comes to emotions, because you can decide to feel them or you can decide not to feel them. You can decide how much you feel them. And then sometimes if you put a pin in it, you can come back to it and see. Have you ever read a text message and then thought it said something and you were like, whoa, I'm ticked off, or you know what I mean? And then you went back and read it and you were like, wait a minute, how did this completely change? Because I can look at something again and now it doesn't mean the same thing that I thought it meant.
Well, and the thing about our emotions as well is that they're very volatile. You know, how I feel right now about something and how I feel tomorrow about it could change.
And I'm going to say the word inconsistent, because that's really what it is. Like,
yeah, and that's how, and we get triggered, right? People trigger us at a certain time, and it stirs up an emotion, and yet you'll just stop and reflect on it and say, why did I get so riled up over that? You know,
like something by you because you said that. In this case, this scenario, a new teacher was hired at the school, and she's innovative and different. And another teacher had a plan where she always reads the same story this time of year, and the kids get to make a little project. But the new teacher, who's actually in charge of the class, she's like, let's break the barriers and let's change it. And this woman is offended up front, but she bought brand new books, like 70 brand new books for the kids, so they could read this story and then create this little craft. So now time goes on and the project is done, and the new teacher created the craft, the paper plate thing, just like the original teacher liked. But then she said, now they have to have a place to put it. And you turn around and she made these beautiful trees and these it was as if the kids walked into like a play, where it was like a set for a play, but this was now going to be their little playland where they could go read this story. And the original teacher said, what did you make this? Because it was beautiful and it was stunning, and everybody's like, oh my God. It was actually like a scene from Universal Studios when you go to E.T.'s Playland. It was like so beautiful. Even I thought it was beautiful. But the original teacher saw what it was made of, and she said, what did you make this out of? And she said, oh, I used your books. So she deconstructed those beautiful books and made this thing. And I thought, I can understand why you might be upset because you paid for the books, but she made something so amazing. But the original teacher was furious. And she was like, if this lady doesn't leave, like she was ready to just really beat this lady up. And I thought, you should actually be so proud that you provided the supplies to make this thing that these kids would never have seen and never have had before. But she just couldn't get there with that. She just got super angry. So what do you think, if you were the original teacher, what would you do? See if she thinks about it.
Yeah. Well, that's not a fair question for me, because I would embrace that. I'm the kind of
Yeah.
person that would embrace it. I'm not set in that. It's like, okay, I did it this, however you want to do it. And I've
You're super
always been,
flexible. You're a Libra. You're just too fair.
yeah. I would do that. I wouldn't hold on to that. I'm not that way. So that's why I said it's not a fair question, because I would have just been like, I would say, okay, well, what are you thinking, and can I help you with it? Like I would have been part of the process. But that's just who I am. But I can
I
see
thought
where
it was
there are a lot of people
amazing.
who aren't.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. I thought even over time she would have to. You're not going to go tear it down.
No, why? Like, look at it and just say, wow, that's so amazing. I wish I could have I wish I would have been as creative as you were. But people come from a different place and a different time. And, just because they have one way of doing it doesn't mean that that's the only way. But people get stuck in that groove, right? That this is the only way.
Yeah, maybe she might say, "Can I get half my money back?" she was thinking about how much money she spent on those books, but man, you just bought a playland. That'd be like building a new room inside the school. It was amazing. Yeah. So sometimes even just taking a day or two to think about some things, and sometimes I realize I don't really feel as strongly about a thing as I thought I did. Or maybe I was thinking wrong, or I could find a million reasons, but I'm also a Libra like Terri. So
Yeah.
So everybody have a great week. Are you going to do readings
I'll
tomorrow?
do readings tomorrow from about, let me see, maybe from about, okay, around 11:30 Central Time, so that's 12:30 Eastern, till about just for about an hour and 15 minutes or so.
All right. We
So
will let the
we
party
will
people
see
know.
them on Tuesday noonish.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Terri, good night.
Good
Farewell.
night.
I'll be the saying goodbye.
I hope your seminar is amazing tomorrow.
Man, they were blowing my socks off today. I mean, I've been joining up for some of these to prepare some things for my family, but and even even if these things are going to be temporary, so you got to stay ready, so you don't have to get ready, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have these specific ideas of what the new world looks like, but I think you should be prepared on all fronts to be
Well,
observing what's going on around us. There's a lot of things happening very quickly here.
I'll just say one thing is we're all waiting for the new world, but a watch pot never
So
boils.
watch. That was exactly my thought, Terri. That was exactly
We're
my
all waiting for it, and we're
sit
looking
and
for it.
wait.
And meanwhile, we got to go on with life.
Keep socializing, meeting new people, observing changes, because we got to get our hands out there and not just think, oh,
Not give up on living.
they're going to do it and he's going to do it and she's going to do it. And like things are, make the waves. Get out here and make the waves. Make the waves.
Yes.
And goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a good week.